Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the story behind one of America's most sacred places, the tomb of the unknown soldier. It's an incredible story of loss on a scale never seen before, a journey home that was almost a disaster, and a solemn promise that's still being kept every single second of every single day.
So to really get why this tomb even exists, you have to go back in time. You have to understand the sheer shock and trauma of World War I. I mean, this wasn't like any war that came before it. This was different. This was industrial, mechanized slaughter on a scale that was just unimaginable at the time.
And this number? 4,400. That's really where this whole story begins. That's the number of American soldiers from World War I whose bodies were so completely ravaged by the new weapons of war, artillery, machine guns, that they were literally unidentifiable. Think about that. Their names, their families, their entire history, just gone.
And, the devastation wasn't just what you could see, it was invisible too. The war left these deep psychological scars. In fact, a new term had to be invented for it: shell shock. We're talking about trauma that haunted a whole generation of survivors, guys who came home to a world that just didn't get it and wanted them to move on.
So you have to imagine what this meant for the families back home, especially the mothers, the Gold Star mothers. For so many of them, there was no body to bring home. There was no grave to visit. There was no closure, just this constant gnawing question of what happened. And that collective pain, that shared grief across the entire country, created this really deep need for some place to mourn. One single symbolic place for everyone.
All right, so the country needs a symbol, but how on earth do you find one soldier to represent thousands of the lost? The mission the U.S. Army undertook was incredibly delicate. It was more like a sacred ritual than a military operation. And the process they came up with was just meticulous. Its whole purpose was, it was kind of a paradox. They weren't trying to find an identity. They were trying to absolutely guarantee that one could never be found. So they exhumed 4 unidentified bodies from 4 major battlefields. They checked every record to make sure there wasn't a single clue. Then they brought the caskets to a town hall, shuffled them all around, and ceremonially burned all the records tied to them. The goal was permanent, absolute anonymity.
Okay, so now you have 4 identical caskets, each one holding an American hero. Who gets to make that final choice? I mean, what an incredible weight of responsibility. It couldn't just be some general pointing a finger, it had to be something more.
And the choice fell to this man, Sergeant Edward F. Younger. He was a decorated combat vet, wounded twice, a humble guy. Originally, the plan was for a high-ranking officer to do it, but at the very last minute, they decided to follow the French example and have an enlisted man, an average soldier, make the selection. It was a powerful statement.
And you can just feel the weight of that moment in Younger's own words. He said he walked around the 4 caskets 3 times, just completely overwhelmed. And then he felt this pull. He wrote, "It seemed as if God raised my hand and guided me as I placed the roses on the casket. And just like that, a random selection was transformed into something sacred, something the entire country could believe in."
So, the unknown soldier has been chosen. Now begins his final journey home to America. And believe it or not, this trip would turn into its own kind of final battle, not against an enemy army, but against the raw power of the Atlantic Ocean. The ship chosen for this mission was the USS Olympia, a famous vessel from the Spanish-American War, now on her very last voyage. And here's the thing. The casket was actually too big to fit below deck, so they had to lash it to the stern, right out in the open, with a full-time guard of U.S. Marines watching over it, 24/7.
Now, on the way home, the Olympia sailed straight into the path of not one but 2 hurricanes. The ship was just thrashed by these enormous waves. At one point, it rolled to an absolutely terrifying 39 degrees. Let me put that in perspective for you. Just 10 more degrees, and the ship would have capsized. The unknown soldier would have been lost to the sea forever.
For 10 straight days, it was a relentless fight. The crew, and especially that Marine honor guard, battled the storm. And get this, the Marines actually had to lash themselves to the deck so they wouldn't be swept overboard while they stood their post. Protecting their fallen comrade was a victory in itself. After surviving that unbelievable trial at sea, the unknown soldier was finally home. And an entire nation was waiting, ready to embrace him, ready to transform this anonymous soldier into one of our most sacred national symbols. And what happened over the next 3 days was just remarkable.
On November 9th, the Olympia docks in Washington. The next day, the unknown soldier lies in state in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, and he's placed on the very same platform that was built for Abraham Lincoln. Then on November 11th, Armistice Day, the final procession to his resting place at Arlington National Cemetery.
And this wasn't just some official ceremony people watched from afar. No, people took part. While he was in the rotunda, an estimated 90,000 Americans, from the president all the way down to ordinary folks, filed past his casket in a silent, non-stop 24-hour stream of respect. The people themselves were making him a hero. The ceremony itself was really designed to bring the whole country together. You had President Harding speaking directly to all those mothers out there, offering a little bit of solace. And then, in one of the most incredible moments of the whole day, Chief Plenty Coups of the Crow Nation came forward and laid his personal war bonnet and his coup stick on the casket. It was this powerful, powerful tribute from one warrior to another.
And it wasn't just America honoring him. After President Harding awarded him the Medal of Honor, our allies from the war came forward one by one. Great Britain gave him their highest honor, the Victoria Cross. France gave the Croix de Guerre. All these other nations bestowed their highest awards for valor. It showed that this one soldier's sacrifice really mattered to the entire world.
But you know, the story doesn't stop there in 1921, not at all. The intermation was really just the beginning. What came next is what makes the tomb a living, breathing memorial that's still with us today.
Ever since 1948, the tomb has been guarded 24/7 by sentinels from the elite 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard. And their patrol is this incredible, silent ritual. The sentinel marches 21 steps. He turns and faces the tomb for 21 seconds. He turns again, waits another 21 seconds, and then walks 21 steps back. That number, 21, it symbolizes the 21-gun salute, our nation's highest military honor. And the sentinels, they wear no rank insignia on their uniform because no one outranks the unknowns.
And the most amazing part, that watch has never stopped. Think about that. Through blizzards, hurricanes, national emergencies, government shutdowns, they are always there. That constant, unwavering patrol is like a promise in motion. It takes this abstract idea of remembrance and makes it real, physical, and constant. And in the end, the power of this place really comes down to the words carved into the stone. Here rests in honored glory an American soldier, known but to God. All that effort, that whole meticulous process to make sure he remained anonymous, that's the very thing that gives him his power. Because he is no one in particular, he can be everyone. He is the son, the brother, the husband, the friend that was lost. He is a universal symbol of a nation's solemn promise that we will never, ever forget.